Do you wonder how you can reinvent yourself and pursue your dreams despite the challenges that life has thrown your way? If so, you're not alone. Many of us face difficult situations that force us to reassess our goals and aspirations. In his best selling book, Answer the Call: Life Lessons from Family Origin Through Intervention and Struggle, after spending 2 decades perfecting his craft, he drew inspiration from his family's legacy of taking calculated risks and pursued a new path forward. Through his book and coaching sessions, the right mindset, setbacks can be transformed into opportunities, growth, and self discovery. He emphasizes the importance of resilience, hard work, and high expectation in achieving success in reinventing oneself. By sharing his own experience and examples, if you're ready to reinvent yourself and answer the call to a brighter future. Conversations with Indie Authors. You wrote the book, Answer the Call. And now I'm excited to get into this because this is important. I think a lot of people sometimes will take on tragedy and they'll take it personally and they'll be like, oh, now I can't do anything else. Like, oh, see, all of these bad things have happened. I might as well just give up. And I love that you're like, yeah, all of these bad things happen. Now let's use it as a stepping stone to get further in life. And so take us back to the beginning. What inspired you to write this book?
I got my first inspiration to write the book about 25 years ago. And it was one of those things where my father was sick from alcoholism. He had his liver was really shut out, so we took him to a liver doctor. And the doctor looks at me and tells me, "Son, I need you to tell your father that he has 6 months to live." Because my father didn't speak English. And I looked at my dad, I told him, and then my father, old-fashioned, machismo, strong man, he was just silent. He got up, walked out of the office. So me and my younger sister walked behind him. And as I'm walking to the parking lot, I'm like, this story needs to be told. The story of substance abuse and the consequences and the collateral damage that it's going to give a family, the grief or whatnot, something that we've never experienced. This story has to be told. But for 25 years, I never got an opportunity to really share that story. And during the pandemic, I was actually called to write the book. I had like this feeling that like it hugged me and it said to write the book. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. We're in the middle of pandemic. The world is shut down. This doesn't make any sense. And then it hugged me again and it gave me this peace over me. I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're writing the book. And this is one of the stories that I wanted to share in a book when I ever wrote it. And that's really the inspiration to write the book. And when I was called to write it, I knew that this was an opportunity to me to share that story and really share that to other people where I can potentially help somebody shift themselves out of substance abuse to save the family from the pain and possibly even the individual from them not being here no more and then them missing out on their family, their grandkids and stuff like that. So that's where the inspiration came from.
Wow, that's a pretty heavy story, but it was one that ends in triumph, it sounds like.
Yeah. I'm trying to honor my father's pain and his legacy because I still call it his legacy because what he did for me. So I want to make sure that I keep sharing that story and I keep talking about it to help other people. And that's how I honor him and his legacy, that it was not a suffering in vain. I don't want it to ever be like that.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, and everyone, key people in our lives play a huge role. We take on different things differently because how much we care about a person.
Hmm.
If we didn't care about them, we wouldn't be as affected by the things that they do. And substance abuse, generally, from my experience and my research, is due to emotional trauma that they are not sure how to overcome, and that's the only way to soothe it. And so, no, I mean, as a kid it's hard to know that, but as an adult you can understand and go, oh, okay, I get that a little more. What would you say to someone struggling right now?
I'm glad you mentioned that because as I was older and I wrote the book, I started having these conversations with my mom and asking her, Mom, so my father was an alcoholic. what pain did he have? What was he coping? What was he trying to escape? How was his upbringing? How was his childhood? And then I learned that my father's father had a similar experience to my grandfather, my mom's father, that he came from United States, from Mexico to United States to work in the agriculture fields during World War II because the Americans were fighting the war. So my dad's dad also did that, right? And so my father didn't have his father with him. So my grandmother was raising her children. So that the absence of his father must have been so painful for a child because you're looking for that father figure to help raise you. So he started drinking like at age of 12 or 14 in Mexico.
Wow.
Again, coping with that pain. And that's when I fully understood it. I was like, wait a minute, this makes sense. This is what he was trying to not heal, but like he put a band-aid over that pain that he never was able to heal from. But I didn't know that until after my father had passed away already. So I make it a mission for myself, for my daughter, because my daughter's 25, and I always wanted to make sure, not realizing my father's background story, is that I need to be a good influence for my daughter. She can't see me pop a beer every day. She can't see me do that. So I would hardly ever have beer in the house or even in the refrigerator for that matter. Because I didn't want her to see me like that because I remember that's how my father was living. So not realizing that that was the pain that he was trying to escape from.
Yeah, I think that is super powerful when we realize what someone else is going through and what they're trying to take care of. I think it makes it a lot easier to navigate that situation and to understand where they're coming from.
Mhm.
But perhaps it also gives us a beginning of where to start helping them too. Like maybe if we can see this earlier, before it's gotten that far, that we'll be able to maybe help a few people, maybe save someone.
And that's why when I talk on stage and I talk on podcasts and I talk to different people, I make sure that I touch on that. And they even ask me, I can't believe you're talking about these so personal things that you've had to overcome. And I go, the reason I'm doing this because I couldn't save my father because I didn't understand his pain because I was 25 and as I was growing up, I never really thought my father was an alcoholic, because it was like almost like we got used to seeing him a certain way. And he wasn't like drunk and tipping over all the time. It wasn't like that. But I do remember that he did drink every other day. And when he drank, he wouldn't eat. So that's bad for the body in itself. So I talk about these experiences and the things that I remember now that I was exposed to that I wasn't ready to really comprehend back then. And when I talk about them, they're like, wait a minute, my mom's going through that. My father's going through that. My brother's going through that. They're older siblings. So how do I help them? Well, having conversations with them, letting them know that you're there for support. You're there because you love them. You don't have to talk about the issue, but just having conversations just to see what comes out. Like go to a park or go have some fun somewhere. Maybe it'll spark a conversation that I hope I'm here with you later in life because I might be going through some things, and maybe that's an opportunity for you, an invitation to maybe dig a little deeper, sensitively, of course, because you don't want to, overpower that situation, but sensitively, with caution and whatnot. That way they don't feel like they're being attacked in that conversation.
Yeah. I think you hit on something very important. The fact that not everyone is like, a movie falling down drunk when we're talking about someone's an alcoholic. There's a lot of working alcoholics that go to
Yes.
work every day. They still take care of their family, but they drink every night or, or consistently quite often, obviously, to the health, to the point of health issues. So I think that's important to remember. And then if someone is like that, a lot of times we might not realize like they're having a problem. I mean, that can actually go pretty unnoticed. I mean, your wife might notice, oh, like you're drinking a lot, but if you can handle it, I think that we've looked at it like that. If you can handle it, like, oh, I can have a few beers at night and that's fine. That doesn't hurt anyone. But what are the signs that we should look for of someone that is a working alcoholic that might need help, but it's going unnoticed?
I think what stands out to me now is that when people say, I needed to unwind, I needed to escape my day so I don't remember my day. That's that. So the alcohol is a coping mechanism for the whole day's worth of things that happened to you. So now we have to wait a minute. Well, maybe that job or that career is not something that you should be at if you have to escape from it every time you come home. And if you're doing that when you're coming home, that means that you're not completely there for the wife or the husband and the children if you're escaping. Because now you're numbing your not only your body, but you're also numbing your mind. So now there's going to be things, conversations you might have, maybe some things that you might, some quality time with the kids that you might not remember because you were escaping. And that's not good.
No, that's not good at all. I agree with that. I I think a lot of people do this. Maybe they're not even doing drugs, but a lot of people go to jobs they don't love and they're very unhappy with. And they're unhappy with a lot of things in their life. And people don't realize they have the power to change that. So maybe it isn't alcoholism. Maybe you're using something else to escape. Maybe you come home and you just veg out in front of the TV and never turn it off, and don't pay attention to anybody else. Yell at
Yeah.
it because, it doesn't matter what it is. It
Hmm.
might not be an actual drug. It's still being detrimental. And, these are things, why are you escaping? Let's get to that model. Like, let's look at that, why you're escaping in the first place, no matter what the vice might be.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So your book is available on Amazon, I'm sure.
Yes. People can actually download a free version of my book.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
On Amazon or on your website?
On Amazon. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but
Okay.
if they find me on my bio, there's a link to that link. It'll go straight to Amazon to download a free copy because it's important to share the message of Answer the Call because when I wrote the book, I was going to call my book American Inventor because I'm also an inventor. But American Inventor is really just for self. Like, okay, I did this. But Answer the Call, that title was whispered to me the day I was finalizing my title. And then I heard it twice. And then I told my publishing company, we need to change the title. We need to call it Answer the Call. Where did you get that title from? It's like it was just whispered to me. Okay, George, we're scrapping American Inventor. We're going to Answer the Call. 2 weeks later, the meaning Answer the Call came to me, and Answer the Call is about finding your gifts, your talents, and pursuing your life's purpose. That's what Answer the Call means.
That's beautiful. Do you offer any courses or anything?
Yeah, I also do have a mini course for real estate because I'm also a real estate agent. When I first which I talk about this in my book. When I was 39, I had a slip and fall on my job, and I was disabled for 3.5 years, and I couldn't go back to the same type of job that I had. So I transitioned and reinvented myself back into real estate. I became a real estate agent, and within my first 16 months, I closed 12 deals. So I did a mini course to help people how to close 12 deals in the first 16 months of real estate, which is also available in my links.
That's amazing. What does that little mini course cost?
It only, I believe it costs like $57 or $67, something like that. You know,
Wow, that's pretty cool.
I mean, you close one deal, you're able, especially in California, you can make anywhere between 10, 12, or 17, $20,000 with one transaction. So it's definitely well worth it. I believe so. And because if you transition from a different uh career to real estate, there's certain things that you need to know. You can't do this by yourself. So there's certain things you need to know, there's certain things you need to implement and do. That way you actually close transactions sooner than later because a lot of people actually quit real estate because they don't close deals in the first 6, 7, or even 12 months. So they just quit. And that's not what I want people to do. I want people to, if they're committing themselves to become a real estate agent, well, then you go all in on it. Give it all you have. And this is one of the things where you can start at. And this is why I did it.
So can I ask you, I would say one of the biggest things in no matter what business you're in is your networking and connections, the people you are connected to. Do you find that to be true as well?
100%. I believe that everybody needs to have a coach, a mentor, and somebody that you look up to, and somebody that has the ability to share some wisdom with you, some knowledge, and some information to shorten your learning span. Because you don't want it, if somebody has been in the business for 10, 15 years, you don't want to wait 10 or 15 years to learn what they learned in 10, 15 years. You might be able to learn it in 6 months to a year or two if you're able to be coached and mentored by this individual. And I also talk about in the course that you need to shorten the learning span, and a percentage of nothing is better than 100% of nothing, because a lot of times that's exactly what happens. Oh, I can do this on my own. No, you can't do it on your own. No one can do it on your own. I don't do things on my own. I've been following people on social media for ever since social media started, people that I inspired to be like. I read books, I read biographies of people that have gone through some stuff, entrepreneurs and whatnot, because I want to know what they overcame and what they went through. Because if they overcame that, that means I can do that too. So I'm not doing it on my own. And then I get some coaches, I get some trainers along the way as you get have some resources. But bottom line is you always need somebody to guide you through that process.
I agree. I think, well, that's funny. I was just talking to my husband about that this morning. Um, I was saying how you have to have the people that you have in your life, you need them to be challenging you to become a better person, to become better at your business, what you're passionate about. It has to be elevating people, and that can be anybody, but you have to be choosy about who is in your personal space, because that rubs off on you. Whatever you're going to be around is what is going to become your essence as well.
I tell people when I'm on stage in colleges, universities, I go, your circle of friends are going to be two things, an asset or a liability. And then some of them don't want to wait to the Q&A at the end. They'll raise up their hands like, yes. What do you mean by liability? Well, they're either going to push you forward and motivate, inspire you, and really um, applaud you for you wanting to be better, or they're going to criticize you and they're going to keep you stuck in that circle because they're going to be afraid that you're no longer going to talk to them. You're not no longer going to associate with them if you change and if you become better. Some people just don't want you to be better. They want you to be the same exact way. But then the problem is sometimes then they change. You listen to them, you stayed at their level, then all of a sudden they have a come to Jesus moment, and then they scale up, and now they leave you behind because, well, you shouldn't have listened to me. You should have known better. And the reason I say that is because I've heard these conversations before. I've heard them.
Mhm. I think it's super important to people. And I agree with the mentor. Like, quite honestly, someone that's come before and has that experience is so helpful. I would love that if I was a kid and younger and listened to people when I was younger, that would have been more helpful. I know how to do it myself. It wasn't until later, like, no, I don't. It would have been easier to listen to somebody that already been through it. I think that's the wiser thing to do. It's usually immaturity that you're like, no, I have to do it all myself.
Knowing it all yourself will give you so many painful moments in your life that they could have been invented and prevented. But
Yeah.
because you know it all, and people now is like, well, she knows it all. Let me take a step back. And because they've heard it before, so they're not longer going to help, you
Yeah.
know? And some of us, we want to help. We really do, and especially those of us that didn't have somebody to help us along the way. We want to make sure that other people don't suffer the same ways that we suffered along the way on our journey to become better people.
Yeah.
I sure, there's a lot of things. It's funny because they say, I don't wish this on my worst enemy. There's a lot of things I don't wish on my worst enemy that I've gone through. I
Mhm.
pray for them. I don't want them to go through that.
I totally agree. My mom used to say that all the time. She's like, I never do anything to get revenge or get
Yeah.
someone back because you know what? They did that thing in the first place because they have emotional wounds.
Hmm.
And so they're hurting themselves far more than me doing anything to them. I don't need to. That's,
Hmm.
I actually hope you don't go through that and I hope you do better in life. I hope that, I think that's a much more powerful uh, message to give to everybody. And it also will help propel people forward rather than keeping everybody at that,
Hmm.
level. Yeah. You were awesome to talk to. I love your energy. I love that you want to give back and you do. Do you offer mentorship?
I do actually. Some people they're surprised that I only charge what I charge, but it's I think that I can get to the root of the problem really quick, and I can help people because I've gone through so many things, and I pray every day, and I ask God for wisdom, for strength, and for knowledge, and to bring the right people in front of me. So it's almost like he's giving me this infinite knowledge and wisdom that when I talk to people, I'm able to find these solutions like really quick. And also when I was in management before my accident, I was a manager for 20 years in warehouse distribution logistics, and I was always changing processes and procedures. So I've been doing this for a very, very long time. So I'm always looking for the bottlenecks, like what's the root cause of this problem? And then that's what I focus on. And once you get that fixed, everything falls into place at that point. So there's no reason to charge somebody so much money when it's not going to take that long. And definitely you don't want to drag something on when you know that you've already helped them already. It wouldn't make any sense. And for me, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, to be honest with
That's authentic, authenticity. Yeah. That's beautiful. Man, I appreciate you coming on and talking to all of us and sharing this with us. Like, I really want people to get the message that tragedy is not the end. Just
you. No.
because you have, a few things that happen, we all do, but it's a stepping stone. It's just something that teaches you another lesson so that you can be successful. And no matter how old you are, you can start at any time and stop giving up.
Every tragedy that I've ever overcame and had to face, let's go back to I was unemployed in 2008 on my birthday for that matter. I was I was unemployed on my birthday, December 5th, 2008. I got out of my office building and I looked up. I was like, God, what just happened? It's my birthday, you know? And but that situation allowed me to have time with my daughter, and I coached her softball team, and being on that field put me in a place where I became an inventor of a batting machine for baseball and softball. And my daughter became a five-time All-Star, 1 year rookie of the year, and 1 year MVP because of that particular tragedy event. The next time when I got hurt at 39, that I was disabled for 3.5 years, then I transitioned into real estate. I became an award-winning agent, and then I had the funds because I was disabled. I At that point I had funds to be able to publish my book. So now I'm a published author. I speak on podcasts, on stages from these two events that could have said, you know what, I'm just gonna give up. But I didn't give up. The loss
Yeah.
of my loss of my father too. I honor his story. I talk about his story. So I'm using that grief and that pain to help other people. So life is not meant to destroy us. It's meant to forge a new version of ourselves and to mold us into the people that we're meant to become, to be in position for our life's calling. Everything, everything to that point, that's just the journey of us picking up the pieces of the puzzle until
Mhm.
we get to the place where, like, wait a minute, this is what I'm supposed to be doing for the rest of my life now. This is my calling. This is my purpose. But I wouldn't have gotten here if I wouldn't have got through all that stuff. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I kicked, screamed, cried, and everything on the way. I'm not gonna lie to you because it's not easy. But now looking back, I accept everything that I went through because even though it was painful, it wasn't unbearable. It wasn't like that. It wasn't unbearable. Yes, I thought, oh my God, my life is over. In reality, it wasn't. I was just being, what's my daughter tells me, Daddy, you just being extra. I was being a little extra to myself. I honestly was, because we encounter things that we've never experienced before, and it's uncomfortable, and it's more uncomfortable than unbearable.
Yeah. I, yes, I think that when our emotions can take over ourselves if we don't control them and allow emotions to go through our body to feel that, but not act on it, not be like, okay, my life's over, now I'll burn my house down. I'm whatever, what I'm talking about, like give up at that moment and just like throw, as they say, baby out with the bathwater. It's good to like, okay, I'm feeling really overwhelmed in this moment, but it passes, and what comes out on the other side ends up being a beautiful thing. Like you were just saying, it ends up being so much more than what you imagined, what you
And
thought was going to happen.
also, even at my injury, when I got hurt and I was heavily medicated, I was depressed and I had suicidal thoughts. And not even at that point did I feel that I was in danger and was I scared of on any way. I still felt like I was safe and protected, but I just had to be there to know so that I have a relatable experience and story. So when I'm on stage, I don't tell these kids, I can only imagine what you went through or what you're going through. No, I can say, I know what you're going through because I lived that too. And if I did it, that means you can overcome it also. So that's why I went through that. So some of these things are needed because it's going to give us a story to be able to share and help save somebody along the way in the future. So let's hold on to that part of it.
Oh, I agree. You have such a beautiful soul, and I love that you're here helping so many people. What is your website? I'm going to put it in the description as well because people need to be able to get a hold of you.
My website is my name, georgevgonzalez.com. That's my website. And my social media, you can find me on all my social media platforms. And I'm most active on Instagram under George_V_Gonzalez. And if you go to my bio, you'll be able to see the links that I have in my profile. And you'll be able to copy a free copy of my book for all the guests and all the listeners. And if you want to learn more, a little bit more about the mini course for real estate, it's also there. And just other stuff that I'm working on is always going to be there as well.
Can I ask, so if people are in other states besides California, does the real estate course still apply?
It does. I was interviewed by somebody in the UK, and we were actually UK, Europe, and different parts of the world, and we're talking real estate. And the only difference is that the contracts might be a little different. We use escrow. Some people use attorneys to close transactions.
Yeah.
So those minor things do change, but the way of finding a house, investing in a house, and doing rehab to a house and fixing up and flipping, that all stays the same. Buying a house and keeping it for long term, renting it out, that's going to be across the board everywhere you go. So there's a lot of similarities, just a few things that are different, definitely. It was nice meeting you today.
It was nice meeting you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You have a blessed 2024, and let's make it amazing 2024.
Absolutely. I'm with you. The Zarlequan Indieverse.